cookie time, one of my favorite topics on the Food Scout with Amy Eber. And Amy, you visited a company that makes a certain type of cookie or biscuit mold.
It's a company that makes Springerle molds, and Springerle are absolutely beautiful white anise-flavored cookies or biscuits, always with an embossed design made by pressing a mold onto the raw dough. The name comes from Old German dialect and it means little jumper or little knight. Likely comes from the fact that when made properly, the embossed part of the cookie springs up and sits atop a base that forms while baking.
Is this new?
No, not at all. These cookies have been popular in parts of Germany and Switzerland, as well as in Alsace, for hundreds of years. The oldest known Springerle mold from Switzerland is a carved wood Easter lamb dating from the 14th century. And by the way, this mold is in the collection of the Swiss National Museum in Zurich. Religious motifs and biblical scenes were some of the earliest images and were likely used to educate people who couldn't read or write. Eventually, other scenes portraying holidays, events, and everyday life were also carved. And exchanging Springerle during major holidays like Christmas and Easter and on significant days like weddings and birthdays was really a common practice, just like we now exchange greeting cards. But these days, you more commonly see them around Christmas. But Alex, I am on a one-woman campaign to restore the tradition here in Switzerland and have people bake, eat, and gift them year-round.
All right. Well, I was going to ask if you own any, but I actually think I think my question is going to be, how many do you own?
Well, for years and years, I've been totally obsessed with collecting cookie molds. An entire wall in my house is covered with them. I scour secondhand shops in Switzerland, and I've really found some great ones. I had a couple of resources back in the States for wooden resin replicas, so you can just completely imagine my utter joy when I went to one of the first winter markets in Switzerland and stumbled upon a booth of an absolutely incredible small manufacturer here in Switzerland called Änis-Paradies. And I bought loads when I went to visit them. But then when I went to their website, I was just astounded to see they had around 900 for sale.
900 cookie molds. So the company's called Änis-Paradies. Can you tell us about it?
Sure. It was founded 26 years ago by Linus Fehler, and Petra Musli joined him shortly thereafter. Mr. Fehler is one of the few people in the world making exact resin replicas of old and new molds. And each resin mold they sell begins as an original wooden mold, some of which are incredibly old, dating back hundreds of years. His work is so admired, museums and private collectors loan him their pieces so he can make copies to sell. And typically, they contact him. Newer molds are made by two amazing wood carvers from Appenzell. Their work is just stunning in both its beauty and its detail. So, to make these resin replicas, the image from the wooden mold is imprinted into silicon, forming a template with raised sides. A food-safe, wood-colored resin formulated by Mr. Fehler is poured into the silicon mold, and out comes a non-stick exact replica of the original. It just blows my mind that I use a replica made from an original mold carved and used hundreds of years ago by someone baking the same recipe. I've spent untold hours these past 10 years doing research. Mr. Fehler probably offers one of the largest and most historically significant selections in the world. The depth and breadth of their catalog, it's incredible. They have 900 different, very reasonably priced molds covering innumerable subjects, some whimsical, and many just breathtakingly intricate and beautiful.
Well, I know you're very impressed with how the how these are made, the molds are made, and I, too, appreciate how beautiful they are and how wonderful they are. But on to more important things, Amy. How are the cookies made? Cookies.
The cookies, they're a little tricky, I have to admit, and there are a number of variations of Springerle recipes out there. I'll post a link to the Änis-Paradies recipe. Basically, you beat eggs and powdered sugar in a mixer for a really, really long time, like 20 minutes. This is crucial so the cookies rise during baking, since on this recipe, they don't add baking powder or ammonium carbonate, which is what makes them pop up. After you beat them, you lightly fold in toasted anise seeds and flour. You rest the dough for a little bit, then you roll it out and dust it with flour. You've also flour dust the molds, and that's pressed onto the dough. You remove it, and the picture is cut out using a pastry wheel, a knife, or a cookie cutter. You place the equal-sized Springerle on parchment-lined baking sheets and let them sit at room temperature 12 to 24 hours, depending upon weather conditions. This drying process is absolutely crucial to retain the design during baking. If they're not dry enough, you don't even see the picture hardly. So and you also, by the way, can't make them on really hot, humid days. Then you bake them around 150, 160 degrees Celsius on the lowest rack in the oven for 12 to 15 minutes, propping the door open with a wooden spoon handle. But, Alex, if you don't want to bake, you can just buy the molds as beautiful wall decorations or as gifts. Their website also has directions for making these inedible ornaments as well. And if any listeners have any questions, if they decide to pursue us, please feel free to contact me.
All right, that's the Food Scout this week. My thanks to Amy Eber. You can find the recipe and check out the catalog of 900 molds at our website, worldradio.ch.